Hi there, this is Bibi Cameron. Come and explore with me creative die cutting ideas to elevate your card designs. So today we are going to be using Lily of the Valley layering die set, and this has over 40 little pieces. So when doing die cutting, we need to be very clever. This has large leaves that are easy to handle, but it also has many little flowers that might be difficult to identify after die cutting. So I'm going to share with you some tips to ease this process, and let me show you first how I add color to the die cut. So the first thing I'm going to do is to add colors to the leaves and the stems. Apply ink directly from the ink pad to the die cuts for easy coloring, and using a brush apply dark inks around the edges of these die cuts. I'm using here dark gray and also dark green inks for contrast. To even the color, we are going to spray water over this, and then using a paper towel we are going to lift up that water. And we are going to do pretty much the same to add color to the stem. I never aim perfection, I like texture. You will notice that there are several dies in the set, and each die will cut a flower. So you can see here all the pieces for that flower, and I'm grouping the pieces I need for that flower in that area of my sticky mat, and I do the same for all the other flowers. So you can cut them all at the same time. Carefully lift them from the cutting plate to place them on the sticky mat as you see there. The first thing I'm going to do is to apply Iceberg ink over all the petals using a flat bristles brush. The blending is very soft but very beautiful, and then I use pumpkin pie ink to add color to these little pieces here that goes in the center of the flowers. The keyhole system will allow you to identify where you have to adhere the flowers and how. So you have to align these little keyholes with the keyholes in the flower parts. There is a top layer that doesn't have a keyhole because that's the part that you will see in the front. And for that part, I want to add some shape. So I'm using here a shaping tool, and then using a dimensional foam pad, I'm going to adhere it in place. Then we are going to repeat this little process for each flower on the branch. Okay, so our die cut has some basic color. I didn't add all the pieces. This has other little leaves and little center of the flowers that I'm going to skip completely. You can do that. You can only use the flowers in a composition, or you can use the branch with other flowers, or you can use the flowers in any position you want. The keyhole system is just a guide. Now, after adding the first layer of ink pre-assembling, I'm going to add ink after assembling everything. This kind of gather things together a little bit more. So I'm using here a pink ink just in the base of the flower, that in this case is at the top, and then I'm going to use Ultraviolet, that is a gorgeous purple ink, also at the top. When you apply this type of inks or Altenew fresh inks over the paper, depending on the paper you use, you will notice that the ink softens a little bit after drying, and then I come back and apply more and more because I'm all about color intensity. I really love to add 2, 3, or 4 ink colors, even in small die cuts, because the coloring effect is really nice even when I'm doing something super patchy. Here, and as I say many times, nothing is about perfection. And you can make this using different ink colors. For the first flower I made, I use acai berry, rose quartz, and magenta. So color choice is also very personal. And you don't need to create this to resemble reality. They could be orange, and I think orange or peach might be gorgeous. Anyways, the leaves are very easy to add. All you have to do is to align them with the stem at the bottom. And something I like to do is to apply the same ink color I use for the flowers over the leaves. So as I assemble the die cuts, I add more ink here and there. And by this moment, of course, the inks I apply first are a little bit more dry and I need more intensity. So this is me permanently adding and adjusting the color. Altenew excel themselves by adding instructions, but I always tend to skip them. So you will see me adding the leaves in different ways. And then when I notice that I mess up, I go and look at the instructions and then I try to fix things up. And I know that this is paper, it's very versatile. I can trim it, adjust it, re-ink it, you know, the sky's the limit. Before moving on, let me show you the difference in sizing. So we have here an A2 card-based panel and a 5 by 7 inches card-based panel. And you can see that the flower fit completely in a 5 by 7 inches and is enough to finish a card with very little detail. Just gorgeous. Today, I just want to show you several little ideas for you to get playful with die cuts and textures. So the first thing is grab any frame die and cut a frame to create a composition within the area of that frame. This is optional. You can use instant dimension foam tape at the back of the frame and add a texture. I cut this pipe waffle shape using this die here and I just glue it in the front of the frame. You can also glue it at the back before or after adding the tape, and you can also add another die cut frame on top, or you can just leave it as it is. You can adhere this over a card base and then add the die cut over. But to step this a little bit more, totally optional, you can add a hint of ink at the background of that die cut topper, spray some water for splatters, and then glue it over. And you can use one ink at the background or two ink colors. The key here is to use the same colors that you are using for the flowers. Then I'm going to adhere this over and I'm going to use a bond folder to push the tape that is seen at the size of this pan. And I was extremely crooked when I was adding this, and I didn't notice until when I say what this is something. Oh my gosh, look at that. So what I decided to do is to trim this out. I'm going to use the back part of the card base for my new panel, so there is not a lot of cardstock waste here. Then I'm going to adhere my flowers on the topper, and I have to do some adjustments to make sure that this will fit the card base. So I cut one of the leaves and I can just leave it like that, but I decided to trim part of the leaf and make some adjustments to be able to use that die cut as well. And everything have to be secured with glue or with the instant dimension tape. Another thing I love is sparkle, so I'm going to use silver sparkle base to add gorgeous translucent splatters. So you see me there, I load the brush with the sparkle base, and with something I hit the brush so I get very tiny little silver speckles, and if there is a big splatter, that's okay, that's all part of the charm. Many times, and most of the time, less is more. That will be enough to complete this card, but I wanted to add another element. I didn't know if I wanna die cut bird or flowers, but I just went ahead and I grabbed this beautiful cute open rose die set. It's very affordable and the flowers it makes are gorgeous. You can use 4 layers of the die cut to create a larger flower or 3 to create a small one. What a gorgeous little die set, and it's super affordable, under $10. I don't like to talk about prices, okay, but that's a must have. Anyways, I stamp and die cut this sentiment using stamps and dies from Tranquil Trail. That is also a new kit by Altenew, and I'm loving the sentiments. Such beautiful large sentiments. So here you can see all the elements I'm going to put together here. I wasn't sure about the placement of the flowers and the sentiment. I haven't glued anything yet, but you can see here how I finished this up. And all these are possibilities. You can add this over a contrasting background panel, or you can add a contrasting matte layer to the front panel of your card. You can also add texture by adding die cuts at the corners of this panel here, and I'm using the same texture for coordination. And oh my god, this is a potpourri of ideas for you in one single card. You can also add dimension to this topper or just leave it flat. I will go for flat next time. So there you go. You can create a very simple composition with the Lily of the Valley die set, or just go extra mile, go crazy with some flowers and texture and in blending. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel or visit the blog for more ideas and inspiration. Thank you very much for watching and happy crafting. Bye!